Oh, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We're on episode 95. Matt Duchene of My Little Hockey Show, where once a week I go through all of the major news and what's happenings in the NHL, mainly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames, because those are my two favorite teams. But I'll be talking about all the teams on this podcast. So what are we talking about today? Well, it seems like Auston Matthews is starting to solidify himself as the greatest goal scorer of this generation. We'll talk about that. We're going to have to touch on the Arizona Coyotes, possibly Utah whatevers. We're going to be touching on that. Some new stuff is coming out over there. I want to pop in and take a look at Calgary, even though they're all but dead. They are dead. They're not making the playoffs, which it's fine. But we'll talk about some positive stuff with Calgary in a moment. I want to take a look at the Eastern and, well, mostly just the Eastern playoff race. It's still open, and the West is a little bit closed, but we'll take a look at the standings, and I want to take a look at the stats all around the league right now. And since we're talking about that, let's talk about the current goal-scoring leader right now, and that is Auston Poppy Matthews. Oh my freaking goodness, he did it, and he just might be going for 70 now. It seems like the Toronto Maple Leafs and Auston Matthews have come together, and they are willing and able to do anything in trying to get Auston Matthews to 70 goals. Now, the big issue is, I think it's 4 games remaining, 4 goals left to get. Will they shut Matthews down a game or two before the end of the season, or are they going to let Auston Matthews and the team cook? Honestly, I'm going to let them cook. They're feeling it. I'm going to let them cook, get in there. They're feeling confident. They're feeling cocky. I understand the idea, let them rest and everything, but I think, especially with the Toronto Maple Leafs, you let them sit out there and have more time to look on social media and read an article or two, or have a friend whisper in their ear about, you're going to lose to Boston, it's going to happen again. And then the anxiety just continues to build. I'd rather them just go out there, play hockey, and then hopefully they're not thinking about blowing it in Game 7 again. So I don't know. I'd rather them just go out there, play their games. But if Auston Matthews just so happens to hit 70 before all 82 games are done, then sure, shut him down, let him do whatever the hell he wants, go hang out with Justin Bieber, go do whatever he wants. But he and the Toronto Maple Leafs are on a mission for 70 goals right now, but he did pass the 65 goal mark, which has solidified himself, at least in they're talking like NHL salary cap era. Auston Matthews has the best goal-scoring season of this era, surpassing Alexander the Great, Ovechkin's 65 goals that he scored. I don't freaking remember the year, but Poppy, the other night, rip-a-doodle-doo, top cheese, making it look easy, gets 66, and oh buddy, he is cooking right now. Sadly, this week I was extremely busy with WrestleMania and all that stuff, so I didn't get my eyes on a lot of the action in terms of hockey stuff this week, but I did get to see Auston Matthews score that goal, and that was awesome. It's just really good to see the team building around that and playing for Auston Matthews, which is fantastic. And again, I'm kind of an odd time to bring this up, but I'm going to do it. And is it time maybe this offseason with, we're really starting to see that dip with John Tavares here. And, I'm a huge John Tavares defender. I've loved this guy since he played for the Oshawa Generals. He's just my dude. And yeah, I'll always defend him. But yeah, he's taken a step back a little bit here, and it's been Matthews' team for a while here, and sadly that controversy, I don't remember what he did. He pulled his pee-pee out, or he pulled his bum out, whatever. It happened at the worst time, and it seemed like he didn't get the captaincy because of this, but he's been an ambassador for the team. He's super popular. He's been on like 3 NHL covers now. That doesn't mean you should get the captaincy just because you're on covers, but you know what I'm saying. The team will rally around him, and it just seems like right now, maybe the Leafs don't need like that quiet leader that John Tavares is. I'm absolutely fine with him having the A, and I don't think that John Tavares is the guy that would take this as like a slap in the face, disrespectful to have the captaincy taken away from him. And it's so ugly to like. Everyone always looks at that as like, oh, there's so much controversy, but I almost see it as like a passing of the torch thing. I'm a wrestling fan, and this kind of thing happens in wrestling where it's the old legend that passes the torch to the young buck. Think back, way back in the day, like WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, and Hulk Hogan loses to Ultimate Warrior. He was slightly old at the time, but the young, up-and-coming, super popular Ultimate Warrior gets the big win, and yeah, well, we won't worry about what happens to the Ultimate Warrior after, and that's for a different podcast. That's for the WrestleCast, but I think it should be time this off season. If they win the cup, I think that would ease the pain of Tavares sliding it over him. Like, oh yeah, whatever, I got the cup, and I'm gonna wear my Leaf pajamas to the parade, and it'll be great. But yeah, without him wearing the C, it's like the most captain. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but Austin Matthews is the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs without having the C on his chest, if that makes any form of sense. But yeah, I really like that guy. Also, I really like that guy, Austin Matthews. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Speaking of pretty cool with Austin Matthews, I saw that clip of him when he's getting interviewed after the game, and he comes out like damn near naked, and like the reporter's like, do you have a shirt? And he's like, nah, I don't have a shirt. It's just like, yeah, this guy makes $11, $12, $13 million a year. This guy does not own a t-shirt. That's just crazy. And then she's like, I mean, it looks good. I like it. And I think everybody liked it. He's an athlete, so he's got a good body, nice tattoos, and I would do things that I'm not proud of to achieve a body such as this, other than dieting and working out on a consistent basis. I will not do that for a good body. Regardless, Austin Matthews is killing it. But in terms of other players on the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, we got Joseph Woll, who I love dearly. Already, for some reason, I would jump in front of a bus for this man. I don't even know why, but saw him in an interview the other night, and he had a big old smile on his face for Austin Matthews, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting Jack Campbell vibes a little bit, and that is just awesome. But Joseph Woll has struggled since he's been back. Thankfully, Samsonov has been just dandy, one of the best goaltenders in the league lately. Well, not even lately, for quite a bit now, but Joseph Woll has struggled, and he's been allowing goals on the first shot. And I hate that because I had to deal with that all last year with Markstrom, and now I'm going through this little fit right now with Joseph Woll. He did have a good game the other night there, so that's encouraging, but I think at this point it's fairly safe to say that Samsonov is going to be night one of the playoff starter for the Leafs. How big is that leash for him? And you have an untested goaltender in the playoffs in Woll, so I would feel like the leash on Samsonov would be pretty good. What about the Martin Jones factor? Is this guy going to get into some playoff games? No idea. Absolutely no idea. Hopefully Samsonov can carry this great run that he's on into the playoffs, because that kind of thing can win you a cup. If you get a hot goaltender and, just the right amount of offense, a hot goalie can carry you deep into the playoffs. Will it win you a cup on your own? Who knows? It depends how good the goaltending is, right? But we've seen good goaltending. I mean, I will not forget how good Jack Campbell was in those series that he was in. Yes, he gave up just brutally timed goals, but he was spectacular in those Tampa Bay series. I'm sorry, but he was awesome. But bad timing, bad goals, so it is what it is. People are not going to... I don't know, I feel like people still like Jack Campbell. I really like Jack Campbell, but yeah, he's dope. He's a good guy. And then there's Mitch Marner. So he's back now finally from injury, and apparently we're not supposed to talk about it. What a big baby. Oh, we're just again, this kind of goes into the NHL as a whole, not telling people what the injuries are. They're not disclosing that information, which I do believe now. Is it not legally you're supposed to do that, reveal that information, especially if there's gambling involved? You have to let the peoples know if they're gambling on someone who's injured or not. So at least the ones that are keeping them out of games, I feel like gamblers and fans or whatever deserve to know. Yes, there is that shitty factor where more than likely teams are going to know about that injury and they may target that in a playoff series or game to game. It doesn't matter. That's just the nature of the game. I mean, you will do anything to win. Any advantage you can get, yeah, they're probably going to take it. But it's just weird to me that that's still a thing when other sports are so detailed, like the NFL, extremely detailed about the injuries. Like, oh, he pulled the testicle or whatever. It's like, okay, maybe we didn't need to know about that one, but you know what I'm saying? So Marner comes back. He's been fine. He's still just moody, and he's, you know, spotlight is on this guy this year, man. Like, if he does not show up in the playoffs, like, people can look at his numbers and be like, what? He's pretty decent number-wise, you know, I don't know what his stats are, but it's not bad on paper, but it is bad if you watch him game to game, because he's generally like a one-game performer, like, bam, he explodes for 3-4 points in a blowout win or something, and then he'll go pointless throughout the big, tight, hard games. So we need him to come through. He has been hitting people, I've seen, which is nice, so finishing checks, getting ready for the playoffs, because you have to do that stuff. Like, I know it's not really part of the Leafs game during the 82-game regular season because it's really hard. We'll talk about the Flyers and why maybe they ran out of gas playing that kind of game, but starting to see the Leafs throw some checks, finishing those checks, you have to do it in the playoffs. You have to wear them down. Every little thing helps. If you just keep doing it and you're always finishing checks, like, that will wear down on a team mentally, just like it does on the Leafs when it's just like, oh God, here comes that check every single time. And it's like, damn right, every single time. This is the playoffs, bitch. Welcome. Like, let's go. And I am very excited to get to the playoffs, so that must mean it's time to take a look at the current playoff race for the NHL. And it's still pretty open, this is the best kind of hockey time, when things are competitive right down to the final game. We have lacked that, I think, especially last year, or even, I don't remember which, there was a few seasons in particular, it was like, things were set by January, and that's not really fun. Kind of what's going on with me and the Leafs this season, I'm not watching as many games, not as engaged, just because they've been pretty solidified in the playoffs they struggled at the beginning there, but it was fine. I'm not really worried at this time with the Leafs struggling to make playoffs unless big injuries happen, but I haven't been engaged as much with the regular season Leafs because I'm dying for playoffs. I am dying so bad, but the Leafs have clinched. Boston, Florida, like, lots of teams are starting to clinch now. The big one is Tampa Bay. They're in and they hold the second wild card spot, which means there's only one final, potentially two spots here left open for teams. So we have the Islanders now. I can't even remember. It's been changing like every single day, the standing. I can't even remember what teams we're talking about were in it last week, but now the Islanders are on fuego. They are killing it. They've won 5 straight games here, possibly more. They got the Habs up next, which the Habs love to play spoiler, but right now the Islanders are looking hot, which kind of pisses me off because, yes, I do want to see Patrick Waugh in the playoffs. That would be a lot of fun. And they aren't the old-style Islanders, but they kind of are still, and they play really slow, boring-ish hockey. Now, I don't usually watch them. I can't say that I watch them on the regular, but I'm not excited about the Islanders in the playoffs. I would kind of prefer Pittsburgh and or Detroit to make it in there, and currently neither of them are in the playoffs right now. So Pittsburgh was hot and still kind of are. They just lost their last game in overtime, but Crosby is just going insane. He is trying to drag this team into a playoff spot, and Michael Bunting is trying to help out. One of the best acquisitions for the Pittsburgh Penguins and all teams throughout the trade deadline was Michael Bunting. Immediately when I saw him going to Pittsburgh, the Dubas connection immediately came out, and I was like, that's just a slam dunk. Like, Michael Bunting's a really good player, and I was surprised that Carolina moved him. I get why. Like, you're bringing in Gensel, and he's been the best addition since the trade deadline, points-wise, and Michael Bunting's been third. We'll talk about second place in a little bit, but Pittsburgh right now, Malkin's looking really good too, and I just heard it on Chicklets. I was listening to it, and they're like, we got to watch out for Malkin right now because his parents were in town, and last time his parents were in town, he like went on a rampage and Pittsburgh won a cup. So if Pittsburgh makes it in, watch the fuck out because they're going to be dangerous, but they're not there yet. It is a tight-ass race. So, oh my goodness, where do we even start here? So we talked about the Islanders, 87 points, 78 games played, so they have 4 remaining. Washington's holding the second wild card spot at 85 points, but they've been pretty cold, so they're hanging on, but they're not looking good. So, you know, it's there. Then you got the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're hot right now. They got 84 points. They're 1 behind Washington. They both have 78 games played. So it is going to be very interesting to watch what Washington's going to do. Are they going to fall out and miss? Which, I mean, honestly, I think they just have this like, I don't really want to see them in the playoffs either because they're playing this really slow, you know, a trap kind of game. Like there's modern trap that they've done, and it's effective for them. Absolutely, like well done, absolutely. But do I want to watch that in the first round over Pittsburgh or Detroit? No, I want to see Pittsburgh and Detroit over these trappy teams like the Islanders and Washington. But they may just grind their way into it. But you got Detroit there. They're hot and cold. It's wild, but they're at 84 points as well. So the door is open for these teams. And goodness gracious, we fall down here to the Flyers, who some people are saying they have completely given up on the playoffs. And how dare you? Do you know who their coach is? Tortorella? He doesn't allow quitting. What I think has happened with the Flyers that they have run out of gas and their goaltending's gotten overloaded. Cat a hat, you know, he kind of did a bad thing and was removed from the team, potentially bad thing until proven guilty or whatever, but that was, you know, a pretty big wrench thrown into the gears of the organization. And then Samuel Ersson, he started so good, and I think he is good. It's just that too much got thrown on his plate out of nowhere, and he's really fallen apart. That's essentially all I could say about it. He's just fallen absolutely apart goaltending-wise. They're not scoring, and they're just not winning. They've lost, I think, 7 in a row now. And, yeah, what seemed like, I wouldn't say a for sure thing because it wasn't, but it looked really strong at points here for Philadelphia to make it. And I think this play style of Tortorella that they've done all season, the hitting, the finishing of checks, tight games, and it just takes a lot out of players to do that game to game. And that's the only real way that a team like the Flyers were going to have an opportunity to make it into the playoffs. Tight, hard, physical, defensive style hockey, and they did that. They fucking crushed it, but they're just falling short of their mark by the look of it, and they're going to run out of gas. But if they don't make it, I mean, I would commend them. Yeah, it kind of sucks for Flyers fans and like the organization because it kind of puts them in an awkward position drafting wise because like they're supposed to be rebuilding coming into this year. They're supposed to be a lottery team, and then they almost make the playoffs to only just miss it. That would kind of suck. But then it's like, well, but we did so good this year and we weren't supposed to. So I don't know. They might end up getting a Jack Adams out of it. Who knows? And yeah, Detroit. But the other weird one is like, it seems like it's essentially over here for Buffalo, but like they've been pretty good again, similar to what they did last year. But what would have happened if Patrick Kane went to Buffalo instead of Detroit? Like, would it be flopped? Like, would Buffalo be in the position of Detroit? I mean, I think we all wanted that. Like, the hometown Patrick Kane to go to Buffalo and help them make it to the playoffs for the first time in 13 some odd years or whatever. That would have been super cute. But if he falls short with Detroit and they don't make it, I mean, it's going to be what could have been with Buffalo. That would have been a lot of fun, but looks like it's over for Buffalo and Ottawa and all these teams here, but still open between Washington, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Philly, if they can, get a save or something, but it really doesn't look good for them right now. And then the Islanders are in there. So, I mean, if I could pick a perfect world, I'd prefer the Islanders and Washington to miss, have Pittsburgh and Detroit go in instead. So that's how I would like it to play out. So that's what it's looking like today, at least as of what day is this? Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. So there you go. Let's take a look at the West. It's not as exciting as the East. The doors aren't as open, but Vegas still hanging in there. They got the second wildcard spot, 92 points, 77 games played. And then St. Louis is their closest competition, 87 points. But at this point of the season, 5 points is a lot to make up. That is very difficult to do. And they got Carolina up next, who is one of the hottest, best teams in the league right now. So doesn't look good for St. Louis. But again, another team that a lot of people didn't have a lot of hope for them. And Bennington really turned a lot of heads, I think, this year. Hofer, their goaltending was shockingly good. And yeah, so good for them in some aspects, but again, very frustrating for a fan base and organization to get that close and miss. You don't get the best draft, but who knows? You can find a gem. It doesn't always mean you don't get anybody, but yeah, you would like to have a better pick. But well, you never know. They could win the lottery. Who knows? And then Minnesota looks like they're Dunyan rings. Seattle, Calgary, Arizona, they're all done. But Nashville has clinched a spot that is so freaking cool for them. The U2 gate and just the hot streak. They're doing less awesome right now. Didn't they lose to someone like that they shouldn't have lost to? No, not really. They've been losing to, if they've lost, they lost to the Bruins 3-0. They lost to the Islanders, who are white hot right now, and they lost to Winnipeg, who, they're we talked about them last week, kind of struggling, and they've turned that around since we talked about that. Never mind. They didn't have a big game win against Dallas. They're playing them next, but they've won 4 in a row here, so really good turnaround for the Winnipeg Jets, which is great. 102 points. That's a fantastic season. You break the 100-point mark, you're doing great. Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, Vancouver, they've all broken the 100-point mark. Boston, Florida, Tirana, the Rangers, Carolina, they've all broken the 100-point mark. Good chance Tampa Bay will break that mark as well for who knows how many freaking times now. But in terms of the West, it looks pretty set. I don't think Vegas will blow it. I mean, they've lost 2 in a row. Minnesota could get some revenge on them and just try and make them blow it and see if St. Louis can win their games. But again, they got Carolina up next, and it's not looking good. And since I mentioned Calgary, I know it's not been a great run here for the Flames fans. You get a win, barely a win over the Sharks there, which is good. They lost to the Ducks, which was horrific. I wasn't impressed about that. They did beat LA, which was kind of refreshing, but the most refreshing thing for Calgary is Sharangovich, who again, and I don't know how many times I've sang his praises this season. The trade, when it happened, I was all about it, and bam, he hits 30 goals this year. Suck on that. And, I don't want to disrespect this player, but I think he would giggle if I said suck on that Grabo, because Grabowski was the former leader in Belarusian goals scored in a season, and now it belongs to Sharangovich with the 30 goals. And with a few more games left, 5 more games, who knows? You only have a chance to increase that lead. So congratulations to Sharangovich, one of my favorite players on the Flames right now, because everyone counted him out before he even had a chance. So I've been rooting for that player ever since that trade went down. So that is fantastic. And since I kind of teased it a little bit earlier, speaking of fantastic, Columbus Blue Jackets fans, I know there ain't a lot to be happy about right now, but there is a cool story going on with Columbus, and that is the story of Alex Nylander, the brother of Willie Nylander, former first round pick. So there was talent, there was some potential, obviously, with this player, and struggles and trades and more struggles and another trade and continuous struggles until another trade to Columbus, of all places. And now all of a sudden, Alex Nylander appears to have found a home and is maybe starting to flourish into, I don't know if like a first round talent just yet, but he's been playing really freaking good for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And let's see here. 10 goals, 14 points in the last 19 games. I mean, that is great. I think that is well on pace for a 30 some odd goal season. So if Alex Nylander can do that, maybe there are sometimes bright lights on Columbus for negative reasons, but Babcock's not there no more. So maybe they can have a better start next year. Alex Nylander takes that great finish of this season, brings that to next year. Hey, maybe Columbus can turn it around just a little bit next year. But a little bit of some decent news there for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we'll go now to the New York Rangers and the New Jersey Devils. They had themselves a little Donnybrook over the last week there. Big old line brawl, something we do not see, especially in this NHL nowadays. And that sparked a big old conversation, the usual stuff. Oh, there's not enough fighting. Oh, fighting should get taken out. Oh, remember back in the 80s, there was 97 fights a minute, people fighting with each other in the crowds. It was chaos back in my day. I also had to travel through 30 feet of snow and 80 miles to get to ski. Baloney. Anyway, go back and watch those old games. See if you like it. See how slow it is. See how long it takes to get through a game between teams that dislike each other, or blowout games where there's just numerous fights for the sake of fighting. And you'll see. You might say, hey, maybe there was too much fighting back then. And yes, maybe there isn't as much fighting in the game today that some people want. Some people want it out of the game completely. We talked about some of the younger former players of the NHL that passed away way too young, and they've had some CTE relations from their NHL career, and people just want it eliminated from the game. Sadly, I think with the way that the NHL is, not as the organization, but the game of hockey, I don't think you're going to be able to take it out. It's just too competitive. You can increase the punishments for it, but I just don't know if you can take it out completely. I don't know if it's healthy. I do believe in some of that argument of players policing the game. You can't let certain people get out of control and stuff like that, but you can't let the people policing the game get out of control as well. It's a very tough, grayish area to discuss. It's basis things and so on, but you can't deny that was a lot of fun. That line brawl was wicked. Rempe, of course, and McDermott at the center of it all, and then everybody just breaks off, kicking the shit out of each other. There's only fucking 2 or 3 referees on the ice. They can't handle it. So, yeah, that was fun. And also the discussion of Rempe. And what I'll say about Rempe is that it is refreshing to have a young player full of piss and vinegar looking to make a statement in terms of fighting. And it has kind of rejuvenated the fighters in the league. Like, you're starting to see guys coming out of the woodwork to take this guy on, and it's a lot of fun. But I am worried about Rempe like other people are, because he does not protect himself properly in a fight. So he needs to learn that, which is absolutely something he can learn in the offseason, learn from anybody. Like, fucking, they can go boxing with Revo in the offseason, whatever. It's something that he can learn, but he needs to pace himself. God damn it. You need to just not have 7 fights a week and just relax a little bit. So I'm of that. I'm like, we don't want him to be, at 52 and passes away, because he was doing this really early in his career. And it's helping him make a name for himself in the league. It's probably going to make him some money and get him a contract with the Rangers. And who doesn't want to stick around with the Rangers? It's the Rangers. You get to be like a celebrity, but not it doesn't matter. Like, people want to play for New York, and it looks like he loves it. And to be a fan favorite in New York, good Lord. And that Rempe is a fan favorite over there, fighting for his team and just being a lunatic out there. But he's got to watch himself. So, again, those conversations were brought up. But, yeah, it is a lot of fun to have a line brawl every now and again. And this one was pretty organic. It wasn't set up. Like, there was a fight set up, but they didn't expect everybody to start fighting with each other. But, yeah, it's cool. I'm not going to get angry about it happening. I'm not going to beg for more, but yeah, what I want more is just rivalries, like teams not liking each other, playoff style hockey more often. And, with guys like Rempe in the league, you're going to start rivalries with other teams, other tough guys. So is it good for the league? Yeah, in spots, but yeah, it's also dangerous. And, usually when I watch the replay of a fight, it just really makes me cringe when you see them, bare fist punch right on the helmet, and you're like, oh, God, that's just got to be the worst. And there's just too many broken hands and just unnecessary injuries happening through that fighting. And you never want to see someone without a helmet on hitting their head on the ice. We've seen that. It's ugly. It's scary. And they don't want that. So, yeah, it's really tough. I wouldn't want to have that job, deciding these kind of things and having these kind of conversations professionally, and people criticizing me for my thoughts and things or whatever the fuck. But yeah, so that happened this week, a big old brawl. It'd be fun to see the Leafs and Bruins get into it. Like, would I love to see Revo get his fucking hands wrapped around Marchand's freaking little neck and just ring him around and just destroy him? I would love that. Because, we even saw that this week where the Leafs kind of got a little scrappy in a game. And Matthews grabbed some people. Like, he wasn't dominating no bitches, but he's a big boy and he can handle himself if he wants to. It's, I don't know. I'm not against it. I ain't for it. But if it happens, I'll watch it, I guess. It's just, I don't really know what to think about that. But what do you think about Brady Tkachuk losing his marbles over an empty net goal? Oh, the irony in this is just immense. So, Ottawa Senators fans and everyone losing it over Morgan Rielly whacking whoever the fuck over there in the face after his slap shot goal, empty net goal. And, Morgan Rielly more justified, I think. I don't think it was just what he did, but compared to what Brady Tkachuk did, I mean, geez, the New Jersey game, I believe, also Brady Tkachuk just miserable as all holy hell right now with the Ottawa Senators. He had 16 hits in that game, which they said is the most in NHL history as of them recording hits in a game. But I also heard on 32 Thoughts that Chara had 17 hits. So I'm more inclined to believe what the 32 Thoughts podcast has to say about that. So, but good on you, Brady Tkachuk, for all those hits. That's insane. But you losing your shit on, the game ended and literally, I can't even remember who slid the puck in, but it literally just slides in almost naturally. And Brady Tkachuk, other end of the ice, you motherfucker, just charging at this guy, just losing it over the etiquette of empty net goals. And how little dare you freaking talking about empty goal etiquette when your team slap-shotted that goal into our empty net. So that is just extremely funny when I heard about that, and I just watched it before I started recording it, and I just busted out laughing. Like, just the look on his face and just bolting after the player from across the ice. Like, that is some NHL video game stuff right there. But yeah, man, Brady Tkachuk rightfully frustrated with the Ottawa Senators and just being a Senator right now and losing and never making the playoffs and the butt end of all the jokes. And I think his brother on the Florida Panthers, their team just kicked the shit out of the Senators this week. So he's going to be hearing that from Matty Tkachuk all weekend. Like, hey, remember when I kicked the shit out of your shitty team and we went on to a deep Stanley Cup playoff run again? It's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to have to hear that all summer either. And speaking of don't want to hear about it, this one sucks to hear about because I feel like the Newfoundland Growlers were doing some stuff. I feel like I was talking about them earlier this year, but sadly the I can't even say it. Maybe that's why they're not with us no more. But the Newfoundland, I swear to goodness, I am Canadian. I know of this province. Newfoundland. Newfoundland. There you go. Newfoundland Growlers cease operation, and I'm ceasing operation on saying the NFL word anymore. We'll just call them the Growlers from here on out. But yes, on a more serious note, they have shut down operations, and that sucks because the great people of NFL land over there, they're doing, they're good people. They love the sport. It's just that it's hard to maintain a team over there. Travel is stupid expensive, and that is essentially what has killed the Growlers, is that it's too hard to travel across Canada to play these games, and they're not making a lot of money, playing. I think they were a ECHL team, so a tier underneath kind of deal. So they're not bringing in a lot of money, but it's an important team, and people have come through there, and it sucks that they're gone. I can't tell. I couldn't remember if they were moving somewhere else, but will there be another Newfoundland team? There we go. I got a good one on that one. But will there be another team over there at some point? I don't know. It's probably be a passion project for someone that's very passionate about Newfoundland, and they want to put a team there, and they're fine with losing some money. But not a lot of people are fine with losing money these days, with all that inflation and gas prices going up and the taxes. We always forget about the taxes. But yeah, man, it's just really shitty to go down like that. And hopefully everyone that was involved with the organization lands on their feet. Like, it must be shocking to their system, obviously, to just poof, and your life, your whatever you were revolved around is now gone. So they have to move on and find something else. So rooting for those people and Newfoundland to get themselves another team at some point. But the Growlers are not the first Newfoundland team to fold over there. So I don't know. But again, we might get an Atlanta team over there. And speaking of expansion and new teams and old teams coming back, there's some weird shit going on right now with Arizona, and we may be calling them Utah by next week, apparently. Shit, there is smoke right now in this situation. I saw a video from the hockey guy today, and when he is like that, he rarely gets like this, but he is saying that he hasn't felt this way about a potential move of a team since Atlanta just abruptly went to Winnipeg. And it just happened in an instant. Like, before you know it, bam, Winnipeg is back in the NHL. And it's not looking good for the current Arizona Coyotes. They have a potential land deal that there's no concrete nothing. So if I was the NHL, move them to Utah, let them have it, and potentially, so they're throwing numbers out there that the NHL apparently is going to pay 1.2 to 1.3 billion with a B dollars for this team, and to move them off to Utah. And then, then Utah has to do their part. They're going to have to make renovations for where their current basketball team is playing. They're going to have to make renovations to that arena for better sightlines for hockey. And then their owner or whatever is just like, I'll just build a whole goddamn new arena because money. So if that's on the table, that just sounds too good for the NHL to pass up if I were them. And potentially, I don't know, none of this is concrete just yet. This is all live. This is all live right now. We're playing live cards or whatever. But the NHL is also potentially offering up a 5-year, timeline for Arizona, Phoenix, whatever the hell they're going to call themselves, to come back into the NHL as an expansion team. Now, what the hell does that mean? Does that mean a discount? What does that mean necessarily? I don't know yet, but that is out there right now. So I feel like really bad for the players, everyone that works for that organization, this constant, non-stop, will they, won't they move? It must be incredibly stressful to deal with and to answer all the questions all the time, and for podcasts like mine and so many others consistently bringing it up. But it's crazy right now. It's absolutely crazy that I don't think, and apparently the owners are not into it no more. They're like, that's it. Pull the plug on this crap. We can't have them playing in this little arena, and they still have no game plan set in motion yet. It cannot continue. And if this guy is ready to go with a big market and money and arenas and everything already in place, then why not give it to them now, and just so then we can have that be over, and then let fucking Arizona, Phoenix figure their shit out without having to deal with an NHL season and every organization on the run. So it might be best for both worlds, all worlds, if you just pull the plug on Arizona for a little bit and let another person try for, I just don't know. And then the idea of potentially an expansion in a few years of the NHL featuring Atlanta and the return of Arizona/Phoenix boggles my mind. That's just bananas. A team, that's just crazy. To reintroduce two teams that have already been here and failed miserably, and try it again. So I don't know. It's pretty wild right now what is going on with that. Try not to talk about it too much more until rather they move, or I don't know. But if I had to bet on it, they're moving, and Arizona will be back another day when it's appropriate, I guess. I really don't know, but that's my 2 cents on that. And speaking of 2 cents, I will throw my 2 cents into this current kind of heart debate with the NHL. Currently, it seemed like a 3-horse race between Kucherov, McKinnon, and Connor McDavid / Panarin. But now, enter Sidney Crosby into this conversation. I think it was Elliott or whatever that threw that out there and caught a lot of flack, but I don't hate that idea either. Only if the Penguins make the playoffs. Like, I'm not saying that Crosby needs to win the dang thing. He just needs to get some notification. I don't know. He needs some gratitude. He needs some appreciation for what he's done. If the Penguins make the playoffs, you gotta give some love for Crosby for that, man, because he has willed this team at his age, probably the best season of any player in NHL history at his age. Like, he's killing it this year. He's been incredible, and they're winning now. And it seems like the Penguins, kind of selling off a little bit at the trade deadline has only, increased that flame under Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. So, yeah, if the Penguins make it in, I think he should be nominated, but I don't think he should win it necessarily, no. And then there's also the Nikita Kucherov situation. I don't think Nikita Kucherov should win it necessarily either, because you're looking at this guy and you're looking at that plus minus, and it's very glaring. So a lot of people are calling Nikita Kucherov a power play merchant, and I'm not gonna necessarily agree with that, but he does get a lot of points on the power play, and it's obviously harder to score goals 5-on-5, which I feel like Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid have done more of. But to Kucherov's argument is that you look at the next highest point getter on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and there's like a 35-40 point difference. So that's a big glaring one as well. So yes, Kucherov is super duper important for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I think what Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid has done has been more impressive to me, but I'm not making the vote on it, but that is my 2 cents. So with that being said, let's take a look at the current NHL stat leaders, because it's still a pretty dang interesting race here. It still seems like a two-headed race at this point between Kucherov and McKinnon. Kucherov, 139 points. I think that's his career best. He's been killing it. He's amazing, and he should absolutely get nominated and everything. He should be in that top 3, I would believe, unless Crosby wills the Penguins in there. Then I think Kucherov falls out into the top 4, or maybe Crosby. I just want him to get mentions. That's all. But Kucherov, I don't think should win it. It should be between McKinnon and McDavid, I would think. But McKinnon, 137 points. Connor McDavid, 130 points. And how many assists? Yeah, he is 1 away from 100. So he's going to have a 100-point season, which is banana. I still remember triple taking when he had 93. I was like, is that real? I don't know if I've seen that high of a number, and it just caught me off guard. I was frightened by this number. Artemi Panarin, 116 points. McDavid, 130, by the way. Pasternak, 107. Matthews, 104. So fuck yes, I just realized that now. That is the first 100-point season for the Leafs in 400 years. So fuck yeah, Austin, you're just killing it. I love this man. I want to kiss his mustache. Moving on. Mikko Rantanen, 102. Leon Draisaitl, quietly 102. Another 100-point season. I know it's lower than his usual numbers, but still 100-point season. JT Miller, 100 points. And William Nylander, 4 away from 100 points. 96 points for William Nylander. 4 games left. Can he get 4 points? I hope so. I want him to get 100 points. And for the amount of money he's making, he should definitely be a 100-point player from here on out. And that will be the expectation, William, from here on out. Just so as you know. So we move on now to the goals. Obviously, I think that race is over. Austin Matthews, 66 goals. Goodness gracious. Sam Reinhart, 53. That is such an amazing season for him. That is great. How much money will he make? Probably I don't know. It's going to be frustrating. Zach Hyman, 52. Love him. Nathan McKinnon broke 50. He's at 51. David Pastrnak, shockingly, not at 50 yet. I imagine he's going to get there. 47 goals. Artemi Panarin having the best goal-scoring season of his career. 46 goals. Braden Point, 44. Some people thought that 50-goal season was a fluke. May not hit 50 this year, but he'll get close. Philip Forsberg, 43. Kucherov, 43. And Kaprizov, 42. Here comes the assists. I mean, Kucherov is crazy high too. So McDavid, 99 assists, and Kucherov, 96. Will we have two guys in this season have 100 assists? That would be wild. McKinnon, 86 assists. So it's between McDavid and Kucherov, but there's no trophy necessarily for most assists. Maybe there should be. Quinn Hughes, 71 assists as a defenseman. Benania, Panarin, 70. Makar, 67. And it seems people now are pretty damn solidified on Quinn Hughes as the Norris winner. He seems to have had the most consistent season throughout. I think if Cale Makar was healthy throughout the whole season, he would probably have a stronger case, but it seems like it's Quinn Hughes' to lose. So there's that is. JT Miller, 65. Victor Hedman, 63. Great bounce back season. Evan Bouchard, 62. Leon Draisaitl, 62. Braden Point is leading the league with game-winning goals at 12, and then a big ol' tie at 10. Forsberg, Aho, Connor, and Pettersson at 10. Plus minus, we'll just go with the leader. It is still Forsling, plus 48. There you go. Penalty minutes is Liam O'Brien still, holding it steady at 153. Goaltending stats. Most wins in the league is Georgiev, 38 wins. Connor Hellebuyck, 35. Stuart Skinner, 34. Bobrovsky, 34. Demko, 34. That's too many 34s there, whatever. Georgiev, he is leading it, but Connor Hellebuyck, I don't think he'll catch him with the amount of games left, so good on you, Georgiev. Will Georgiev be the starter? That is going to be curious. I would think probably just because, but if he fucks up first game, he's out of there. Shutouts is led by Jari and Connor Ingram, both at 6, and a big ol' pile at 5. Lindgren, Luukkonen, Demko, and Bobrovsky. Goals against average right now is Frederik Andersen, 1.83. He is killing it. This is the kind of goaltending that Carolina and Freddie can provide. If Freddie could have done this for the Leafs if he just wasn't playing 900 games every single year and wasn't exhausted. But if Freddie Andersen can pull this out, keep it going into the playoffs, oh my goodness, Carolina might just do it. I'm not going to say what it is, but they might do it. Spencer Martin, also playing for the Carolina goaltending system, is at a 1.97. He hasn't played very many games, though. Stellars, 2.03. Laurent Brossoit, 2.10. Riddick, 221. All right, we'll move on. Goal save percentage. I much prefer save percentage, and this is why there's a potential controversy in Colorado, because currently leading it, tied with Freddie Andersen, is Justus Annunen. 931 save percentage. That is pretty damn good. And yeah, so that is why maybe there is a potential for him to get the start. Maybe a similar situation with the Capitals when they won their cup. They didn't start that playoff run with Holtby in the net. It was actually Kemper, and he blew it game 1. They went back to the Holt Beast, and Bob's your uncle. You got yourself a Stanley Cup. So maybe Annunen goes in net game 1, doesn't satisfy the Colorado needs, and then a very motivated, fired up Georgiev goes back in, and Bob's your uncle, Stanley Cup. Who knows? All right, back to save percentage. Anthony Stolarz, 927. Brossoit, 925. Spencer Martin. A lot of these are backup goaltenders, but they provide a very valuable service. Connor Hellebuyck, probably, more than likely, your Vezina winner at a 920, and he by far has played the most games on this list. Thatcher Demko would be the only other guy that has played nearly as many games at a 917. Fantastic year. Just a fantastic year. And I don't really care about any of those other stats. So that is your current stat leaders in the NHL right now. And one final thing I will touch on, the NCAA. I think they rather finished their tournament. So all that hype train starts to come out again when it's like these NHL teams can start signing these young players to contracts, and guys that lit it up in the in the tournament, they bring with them a lot of hype. Remember Jimmy VC back in the day, how much hype there was for that guy. And as a player, he's an NHL player, yes, but did he fucking change the world? Not with the Toronto Maple Leafs, at least, anyway. But the most recent one to come out of the NCAA that got signed, at least the one that I listed here, is Grant. He signs with the San Jose Sharks, which some people may be like, what? But if you think of it from his perspective, it's where you're going to have a great opportunity to try and get into a team's top 6. You're going to probably want to go with the team that's rebuilding right now and has a chance to give you some time there. So Grant, he's listed as a potential middle 6 forward, but maybe if he can get some good ice time with the Sharks, maybe he becomes a top 6 for them. So it's a free ticket, it's a free draft pick, it's a free prospect essentially. So no risk and potentially only reward. And who needs that more than the San Jose Sharks? So that is all I got in me for this week, everybody. It's been a crazy week with all that WrestleMania I had to watch. Well, I enjoyed to watch, of course. You can go back and listen to the review if you'd like. If you didn't have time to watch the 12 hours of WWE wrestling there was this past weekend, then go and listen to my review of the events. Was it fun? Was it good? Was it bad? Go listen to the review and find out my opinions of the show at least. And what else do we got going on? There was last week, it's a big wrestling time right now, WrestleMania season, so I did a SmackDown versus Raw retrospective for the GamerCast. For the GamerCast this week, it's going to be a toss-up between my top 13 favorite indie games right now, or it's going to be Yakuza Like a Dragon. I don't know how long that game is. It's a long one, though, so it may happen this week, maybe next week, maybe the week after, but I don't know when that game's going to be over. I'm not rushing it. I am just enjoying myself with Yakuza, but at some point, there will be a review of that game, but if I don't have it, then there will be a top 13 indie games, my favorite indie games. And 13, why 13? Because 10 generally isn't enough to fill up a GamerCast. So I'll do 13 and lucky 13. Why not? I like that. So that should be incoming for this week. And of course, we're not done with the wrestling. My wrestling year calendar is over, which means it's wrestling award season time. So I'm going to be handing out all my wrestling awards. Hopefully this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday-ish, I'll have that. I still need to just touch up the awards, make sure everything's in order. It's kind of difficult tracking the awards throughout the whole year because of injuries, and it's just, so I want to make sure everything's pretty good and up to date, but it's going to be my awards for the WrestleMania to WrestleMania. So from WrestleMania 39, that Monday Night Raw till, it doesn't matter. Handing out awards, best matches, best pay-per-views, not worst wrestlers, best wrestlers, male and female, all that stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to do that show. And I should be able to get the wrestling recap back up and running on a regular schedule. Had to skip it last week for aforementioned WrestleMania. There just wasn't going to be enough time to watch the regular wrestling, so I had to skip it last week. We should be good to go this week. And yeah, so that is it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. You guys are so awesome. If you want to be even more awesome, make sure you're hitting that review, star, do all that stuff. Share it with your friends. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your siblings, tell your friends at ski. If you like gaming, if you like wrestling, if you like, what's the other thing I do? Hockey and stuff like that. There's also an email address. You want to send in questions, have a private conversation with me, you can go to the email address that's there for you. I upload all these episodes to the YouTube channel, Gamer GX Videos. Links are all in the description. You can go there, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get all the episodes as soon as they're uploaded, and a great spot to drop a comment if you want to have a question answered live on the podcast, get your name shouted out, all that good stuff. Drop a comment, leave a question on the YouTube channel, email address, Twitter as well. There's Twitter. You can follow along there, but I would love to answer questions live on the podcast. That would be so much fun, so send them on in, please and thank you. And like I said, there's also Twitter as well, where I do the best I can to let you know the schedule as best as I can figure it out as I'm going with the flow as to what things are coming in and out of this podcast. So thank you again, everyone, so much for listening. You're awesome. Hopefully you're having a great day. Don't get blinded by the eclipse, and we'll see you soon back again with the GX Plus Cast.
Hockey.